Welcome back, Fix It Againers. It's been a hot minute since we have done a Fix It Again, and oh boy, do we have one to fix again. We got a 47RE here behind me that has a failure that is really, this is a foregone conclusion. I have not tore into this thing yet, so we will get into it together and see. But my hypothesis is that basically this thing was just operated beyond the limits of what it was built for, and I will explain why. So let's dive into this thing and see exactly what we got here. First and foremost, this is a transmission that I built sometime around the 2020 era. And this is what I called an entry-level 2.0. So it has a Gear N23 spline input shaft, and it has a single disc torque converter. And this thing has been going really good and strong for the last 4 or 5 years, sometime around there. And it recently got new owner, and new owner uses the truck a little bit more than the previous owner. And what we have ended up here with is bluing around the cover of the torque converter. And that is always a sign, especially on a single disc, of a slipping lockup clutch, which is pretty much exactly what the symptoms are here. Customer uses it to pull a small trailer with a tractor on it and a few other things. He's got an excavation company, does some construction work and stuff, and recently acquired the truck. And man, you just can't really do a whole lot with these single disc torque converters, and we really don't even sell this unit anymore, and I will explain why a little later in the video once we get it all apart and confirmed that this is what I believe happened here. But basically, customer lost all forward gears and has nothing essentially. He pulled the filter out of it and showed me the filter, and it was plugged full of debris, which I'm going to assume is from the lockup clutch area. These single disc lockup clutches, man, really, 7,000, 8,000 pounds of weight is about all these things will handle. Beyond that, it's only a matter of time. There's only a single lockup clutch in there. We can only get so aggressive with the line pressure on these things. So really not good for what most people use a diesel truck for. And one of the reasons why we don't build these anymore. But that's enough talking. Let's dive into this thing. Start from the back to the front. Let's check out all of our clutches and see what everything looks like, and let's diagnose this baby. Our overdrive brake clutches here aren't too hateful, but you can see the slightest little bit of discoloring started on a couple of these things here. And I mean, this is very slightly. And my guess is that this is probably going to be a theme that we're going to see throughout the transmission, because when that filter starts to get plugged up, you're going to start losing line pressure at a rapid rate. And if you don't catch this thing soon enough, I mean, it'll completely smoke these things. So we'll see if this theme carries on throughout. Overdrive directs look perfect, just like they should. A little stinky, a little dirty from the nasty fluid, but looking good. One of the old Gear N economy line input shafts, still going strong in there. No twisting, still living good. Take a look at our pump health here. Gear face looks nice. Stator support looks nice. Have to measure that tip to lobe there and make sure that that's in spec. Got a phone call, got to answer it, another job coming. All right, we're back. Checking out our pump gear here. You always want to look and make sure that there's not any scarring that you can feel on the tips or the lobe area. Really need 2 hands to do this. Pull the gear out of the pocket, look at the face, look at the sides, make sure everything looks okay there. You want to look at the gear pocket area carefully, make sure that there's nothing there. So we know that we definitely did not have a pump pressure problem here, because everything looks nice and happy. So let's continue on. Well, that's what I like to see. Our second gear van looks beautiful, living nice and happy. Always a good sign. Man, this fluid is filthy in here. I mean, this thing's just got nasty clutch material everywhere. Our low reverse band looks good. Obviously dirty, but looks good. very happy to see our direct clutch pack looking really nice. This is on in third and overdrive, and she looks beautiful. So happy to see that. Might not have had a line pressure issue, which is good. Happy to hear about that. Sometimes the filter just gets plugged up and it basically quits making pressure before it makes low pressure. So the truth will be told in the forward clutch pack. Let's see what those look like, and then we will have a confirmation here. And our forwards look perfect. They're quite dirty from the dirty fluid, and there's definitely been some trash that's got between the clutch and the steels a little bit. But these things are perfect, so we know that we don't have any sort of line pressure issue that led to this failure. Now I can't wait to get the bottom of the pan off to see how much clutch material is in the bottom of that thing, because I bet it is loaded with lockup clutch material. Let's take a look inside this pan together. Maybe might require two hands. Oh, she's filthy. Filthy animal.
You filthy animal.
Wow, ugly. So you can see that is a tremendous amount of clutch material in here. And as you saw in the video, we didn't have any burnt clutches, no bands, nothing. So 100% with seeing this and the bluing on the torque converter, this is a single disc lockup clutch failure, which is very common when these things start to get some age in them and you operate them like a diesel pickup truck should be operated. And that is why we no longer sell these transmissions with single disc converters anymore. Let's take a minute here and talk a little bit more in depth about more specifically why. So you've seen the inherent issues that happen when you operate the single disc lockup clutch outside of what its window is. But the reality of this stuff is that, man, if you have a diesel truck, you don't want to be limited to pulling 6 or 7 or 5,000 pounds. You want to be able to hop in that thing, hook it up, and pull 10,000 plus like the truck should be able to do. So when we started off, we were selling these single disc converter stuff because there's a lot of guys that did not want to spend the money on a triple disc setup with a billet flex plate and a good input shaft and, you know, proper line pressure for it. They just didn't want that. Again, another phone call. Please hold. Okay, back again. So guys did not want to spend the money, essentially, to get the properly built transmission. And so we needed a more affordable option for guys that had a diesel truck, that didn't really use it like a truck, daily driver, maybe they hauled a water tank with it, maybe they had a 2,000-pound boat that they took to the lake in it, stuff like that. So we had an entry-level and an entry-level 2.0 option for both of those. The entry-level option was, mainly for those guys that I just mentioned, and the 2.0 was kind of more for the younger kids wanting to get into a diesel performance truck, but really weren't going to make more than 450 horsepower, keep it under 500 horsepower. They weren't going to tow with it. They were just going to kind of do burnouts and race their buddies and stuff. So that is what this build was here. The problem is when you sell that to a customer, you educate that customer on what exactly they can and cannot do with the transmission. And a lot of times, that's all well and good. But the problem is that customer, when he resells the truck, maybe doesn't do the same level of expectation setting that you did with him to the next customer. So then that guy gets the truck and he says, oh, I got a built transmission. I can tow whatever I want, do whatever I want with it. Not really the case. So that's one avenue of the issue with it. The other issue is that a built transmission is a little bit like drugs. It's that slippery slope into performance. Once you think, hey, I got a good transmission, I got a built transmission, I spent $4,500, $5,000 on this thing, I'm going to put that tuner on it. And then you know what? I'm going to buy that 44-foot fifth wheel camper that I've always wanted. And then what do you end up with? This right here. a pan full of lock-up clutch material, and an upset customer. Even if it's not your direct customer, that truck could have got sold 2 or 3 times over, but that guy didn't understand. Not his fault. He thought he had a built transmission. So the way we have remedied this is we build them right. We don't do any single disc stuff anymore. I'll sell you a single disc as a DIY kit if you're wanting to do that. But if I'm building the transmission, it's getting a triple disc torque converter in it. Now you may ask, well, Logan, my truck made it 150,000, 200,000, 300,000 miles on the stock transmission. I don't need that triple disc. Well, again, because of all the reasons I just listed, you do. And this is a performance transmission shop. Not trying to compete with Jasper or any of the other stock replacement stuff. People call me to get the good stuff. So I want to make sure that when somebody buys something secondhand, when they get a used truck from somebody, that if it has a Logan built transmission in it, it's going to be at least good to use as a diesel truck, 600 horsepower, heavy towing, anything over 10,000 pounds. We're going to make sure that the future customers down the road are taken care of as well when they start buying these trucks second and third hand. So we are going to get this one put back together, but first I'm going to call the customer, let them know what I found, talk to them about some options on upgrading this one, and then I will check back in with you guys. So one of the things that we're going to do to this transmission this time around, besides just putting the triple disc torque converter in it, is we had this Garin economy line input shaft in it previously, and this is actually one of the very early on economy line input shafts. This shaft might be perfectly fine for what we're doing, but usually on a 600 horsepower build, we either go with the new era Garin input shaft or the Sonex shaft. These are, in my opinion, both of exact equal quality. You can see that the construction of both of these shafts are identical. They're both a one-piece shaft. That's the Garin one on the left. This is a used Sonex one on the right. They're both 300M material. Both have the correct lockup release hole size. These are, as far as metallurgy goes, within 1% of each other, which is basically an identical match. And I happen to have a used Sonex shaft here. So what I'm going to do to help this customer out and get him in a good modern day 600 horsepower heavy towing build is I am going to exchange him for his used Garin economy shaft, and we're going to put this used Sonex shaft in it for no charge to help him out and get him up to date with a good unit. And that way, if he does decide to sell this truck, he will be selling it to somebody that is going to get a nice build that is going to be up to par with 2025 standards. All back together, shiny hot rod black, got the right amount of sheen to it, looking good. Got our Sonex input shaft in there, completely went through this thing, as you guys seen, very dirty, now very clean. So we're gonna wrap up this episode of Fix It Again and get this one on back to the customer. Also did I had a cut and clean 15SS triple disc converter here, so was able to help him out money-wise and get him set up with that. Cut and clean converters are exactly the same as what a brand new one is, but I can't sell them as brand new because technically they've been cut open once. So in this case, every now and then we get some cut and clean stuff. Sometimes we even get some used converters from customers, some used good Garin stuff. And anytime I have something that I can help out a customer with, save them some money, always try to do so. So that's going to do it for this episode of Fix It Again, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, etc., see anything you like, anything you don't like, drop a comment down in that comment section. Let me know. Helps the channel out, helps us grow, helps with whatever those YouTube algorithms are. But more importantly, we like to get the content out there just so we can get more people fixed again. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.